All right. A couple more reminders before we turn it over to Alex and Antonio is that we align our sessions to the PICRAT framework. Some of you may have heard about that already. So, with that in mind, this is considered kind of a twofold session where we're plugged in, that the content that you learn will likely help you replace a practice that you're already doing with your students, but it can also help you power up your session. So, it helps you with lesson design and lesson delivery as well. So we wanted to let you know the alignment for PICRAT and those sessions are on both plugged in and powering up. All right, so at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Alex, who is going to become your presenter. And as he becomes your presenter, he's going to start sharing his screen, and I will be responsible for keeping us muted. All right. On you, Alex.
Thank you so much, Kim, and hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here today with Antonio to help you get started with EdPuzzle, whether you've never heard of us, tried us a few times, used us a whole lot. We're going to try and make this as effective of an hour and a half as it can possibly be, and I'm so excited to dive in. I'll just start with a really brief introduction. I myself was a fifth grade teacher before I started here at EdPuzzle, and I actually used EdPuzzle in my class when we were teaching in person. It's a tool I fell in love with, and it really reinvented my classroom teaching. And so throughout today, I'm going to try and blend all of the best practices I learned when I was in the classroom with my students, as well as some new tips and tricks since I've been here to help you all make the most of EdPuzzle. Just before I dive in, Antonio, if you want to introduce yourself, we can do that and then get started.
Hello, everybody. My name is Antonio. I work here at EdPuzzle. I am Prince George's County's success manager. I'm actually a Prince George's County native. I grew up in Bowie. My parents still live there. I'm on the eastern shore of Maryland now, but both my brothers went to ERHS. So I have deep roots in Prince George's County. So I'm really excited to be working with everybody. But yeah. So I will be in the chat window. If you have any questions, please feel free to type them. I'll be responding to questions as quickly as I can in the chat window during Alex's presentation. And we will be giving you some time to work periodically throughout the session. So don't feel like you have to work along with Alex as he is presenting. So without further ado, I'll let you take it away, Alex.
Great. And Antonio, can you just confirm we can all see the blue starting screen right now?
Looks good to me.
Perfect. Just new to WebEx, so making sure we get it right. All right, so we're going to dive straight on in. And the first thing I want to talk about today is just for those of you who are brand new and have never heard of EdPuzzle before, what is EdPuzzle? Pretty simply, it's a way to take any video, and by any video, I mean a video coming from YouTube, or a video you created yourself, maybe a recording you made, or a video one of your colleagues made. But the idea is you can take any video you want and embed your own assessment questions into that video. Then, as your students complete the video, you get to track and monitor their progress. So it's a pretty easy, simple idea. It's videos plus questions, but we think that combination is a powerful way to make videos a more effective learning tool. Why is that? Well, a couple quick reasons. Normally, when you think about a video, it's pretty passive. Students sit, they watch and listen. But when we embed questions, we can transform that video and make it more of an active learning experience, which we know leads to higher student engagement, stronger learning. The second thing is, if any of you, especially during these times of remote teaching, have ever tried assigning a video before, you know one of the biggest issues is accountability. That next day in class or that next Zoom call, knowing who watched the video, who didn't, who understood, and who's confused. So that's the second main way EdPuzzle is going to help you out. It's going to give you the data you need to hold all of your students accountable for what they're learning in videos. Lastly, as many of you are using Google Classroom, we're excited to integrate seamlessly with Google Classroom, so it's easy for you to assign videos, and it's easier still for your students to access them, along with all of the other work that they're doing. Now, I'm a believer that rather than listening to me talk about it, I want to just dive in and show you what the finished product will look like for your students once you've assigned an EdPuzzle. So I'm actually going to flip over to this Google Classroom class, and I'm enrolled right here as a student, and I can see my teacher has gone ahead and posted some assignments through EdPuzzle. And I could find these either up in the stream, they're also in the classwork tab, wherever you want to find them. But I'm going to go ahead and click on this first assignment, and I see this EdPuzzle link. Now, for me as a student, I'm just going to click that link, sign in with Google, and select my Google account. So I really want to emphasize that. There was no typing usernames and passwords. There's no class codes. There's no messy logistics for students to get started. It's click the link and sign in with the email they're already using to access Google Classroom. Now here we are. We're on this video, and it looks for your students just like a YouTube video they might be used to watching on their own. But now, as we play through this video, you can see these questions at the bottom. And at each question, this video is going to pause, and students are going to respond. So at the beginning, we might ask students to reflect on what they already know or have already learned. Here, we'll select that volume is how much space an object takes up, and submit that answer to receive instantaneous feedback that here we were correct. All right, so let's keep moving through this video. Students are watching, they're paying attention, they're learning about volume, and here's this next question. This is one of my favorite things about videos. Let's say the content moved a little too fast and students are still confused, or they just got distracted for a moment and lost focus. Well, they can always just click this rewatch button, see that last section again. It's one of the powers of videos. Students can move at their own pace and watch things as many times as they need to understand. So I see that bit again. Now I know how to write 1 unit cubed. And once again, I'll submit that answer to get instantaneous feedback. All righty, let's keep moving. Next thing I'm going to point out, notice if as a student I try and skip to the end, how it's locking. So EdPuzzle prevents students from skipping through the video. So they have to watch the entire video that you've assigned to them. There's no skipping, no jumping around. They can always rewatch, but they can't skip forward. So here we are. This last question in the video, we're encouraging students to be active and count up that there are a total of 8 cubes in this shape. And we'll submit this open-ended question to be graded by the teacher afterwards. All right, so let's wrap up. We got just a couple seconds left. And obviously, 25 seconds is shorter than a real video you would assign your students. But I hope this gives you a taste of what EdPuzzle can look like and what we really mean when we say video plus questions working together. Alrighty, so I'm going to flip back over to our slides. And I want to talk a little bit about the way the next chunk of our presentation is going to go. So over the next 45 or 50 minutes, I'm going to show you everything you need to get started with EdPuzzle and have an assignment ready to go. Now, as Antonio mentioned briefly, I've built a lot of work time into this session. I believe nothing will help you get more confident than giving it a try on your own. So please don't feel like you need to copy what you see me doing in real time. There's time built in for you to practice and try out everything you see me go through. So we're going to get started right at the very, very beginning. We're going to make sure all of you can create an account and get set up. So Antonio is going to put a link into the chat window in just a moment. That's a special link for all of you to get signed in and signed up. And when you go there, you'll enter the page and just sign up with your Google account. You can select your Prince George County email address. And then you'll end up on a screen that looks like this. This is where you're going to join your school. So go ahead and type your school name into this bar and select it from the drop-down menu. And then you can pick which subject area and grade level you teach. And you can put in multiple of those if you teach multiple subjects or multiple grade levels. Once you do that, you'll just click Join School, and you'll be on the main EdPuzzle page. The last thing you have to do is verify your email address before you can get started. So I promise I'm going to give you work time momentarily, but that was a really quick step, and I want to cover all of the logistics right here at the beginning. So stick with me for a little bit. Our account's created, but the next thing we want to do is sync our classes. So connect our Google Classroom classes into EdPuzzle. So the way you do this is once you've created your account, you can be anywhere on the EdPuzzle page, and you're going to click up here in this top right corner where it says My Classes. Now, if you're brand new, if you've never been on EdPuzzle before, this is the exact screen you're going to see. And to connect your Google Classroom classes, just go ahead and click Google Classroom. Now, there's going to be a couple prompts. We're going to ask if you have consent to use EdPuzzle. Because Prince George County is subscribing to EdPuzzle, you can go ahead and answer affirmatively to that, and then follow the prompts to connect Google and EdPuzzle. You'll see a list of your classes pop up on the left, and just put a check mark next to any of them that you want to import. Click Import Classes, and we do the rest of the work for you. We're going to set up your classes, and we're going to automatically import your students, and that's really important. That means first day, your students do not need to create an EdPuzzle account. We've already created it for them. It means your students don't need to join your class or mess with any of those logistics. We've already done it for them. So on the first day, it's just as simple. They'll just click the link, sign in, and be ready to go. And so that's all there is to it. As promised, I want to give you all a chance to get through these logistics first. I see one question. If you're being asked for an upgrade code, just go through and verify your email address. And as soon as you verify your email address, and it's a Prince George County email address, you should be automatically upgraded, so you won't need to type in an upgrade code. If you're anywhere on your EdPuzzle page, in the top right corner, you'll just click on that profile icon. For me, it's a little EdPuzzle symbol. Yours might be a gray face or a letter. Just click on that profile icon. And right down here below log out, if it says Pro School, you're all set. For parental consent, you can go ahead and select that you do have consent because we've taken care of that.
If your parents didn't consent for your students to use video on the opt-out form at the beginning of the year, I would use that same opt-out option. It explicitly talked about Flipgrid and recording during video conferences. So for those parents who opted out, I would consider opting those students out of using EdPuzzle, but it's safe to say that you've opted in for the other students.
I see one person's sharing a Google Classroom with another teacher. You can actually go through the exact same process. Each of you just import the classroom on your own, and you'll be able to share and act as co-teachers in that classroom. So both of you can assign videos, grade student responses. So now that we've figured out the logistics, we can move into the fun part, which is finding a video, because obviously the video is the foundation of every video lesson that you use. So I'm going to start off here on the EdPuzzle homepage, and there are a lot of different ways you can find content. First, I'm going to focus on these tabs on the left-hand side. And the one I'll talk about first is our curriculum tab. This is content organized by grade level, organized by subject, organized even by what unit or topic you might be teaching. And so it's a good place if you need ready-to-go content quickly. If you're in a rush, if you need something ready to go for that day, you can come and look at curated, ready-to-go lessons in the curriculum channel. Now, right below that, where you see it says for me, EdPuzzle School, if you click on that, it'll have your school or your district name. That's going to be your network or your district channel. And this is a place to help you collaborate with other teachers in your school and district. And so what you'll see first is a list of all the videos being used throughout your district, but there's ways that you can organize, search, and find for what's relevant to you. The first thing you can do is filter this content by subject and grade level. So if you want to see only what the 7th grade math teachers in your district are using, you can select 7th grade math, or whatever subject and grade level combination best fits your needs. The other way I like to do this is if you have a teacher that you know are successful on EdPuzzle and you want to see what they're using, you can select this button here, look at the other teachers in your district or network who are using EdPuzzle, find what videos they're using with their class, copy and reuse them with your class. So we are firm believers that you shouldn't have to reinvent the wheel every day. And this network channel is that place for you to share, collaborate, and utilize the resources that have been developed by some of your coworkers and your co-teachers. Now, the next place I'm going to focus on are these popular channels. And so we have a list of popular channels you can search through. And as I mentioned, I was a 5th grade teacher, and my favorite science topic is the solar system. And I'm also a big fan of National Geographic footage. I know the videos are high quality. I know they're engaging. I know I can trust the content's accurate. And so I could come to the National Geographic channel, search for solar system, and find all of these results. all coming from National Geographic, a source I know I can trust. And so that's one way to take advantage of these popular channels. So that's a quick overview of these tabs on the left-hand side. But I have to say, what I think is the easiest way to find content is right up here at the very top in this main search bar at the top of the page. We have more than 10 million video lessons on our platform today. So you can really put in a search for anything you need. Here, maybe I'm a third grade teacher. I'm just introducing students to fractions. So I search for fractions on a number line. Now, what I like about these results is you can actually see these videos have been used by other teachers and therefore are coming with questions already built in. If you look next to these little teardrop icons, you can see how many questions are already embedded in these videos. I think it's a huge time saver. It means you don't have to spend as much time typing out and embedding all those questions yourself, and much of that work's already been done for you. But if you are the type of person who wants to start from scratch, have all of your own questions, don't worry, you can delete or edit any of the existing questions, or just scroll down. We've got these same video results without any questions in them to start with. So once you find a video, you'll want to preview through it. I like to play the video and also click on any of these little teardrop icons at the bottom to see what the questions are and if they're things I want my students to be doing. If the video seems like a good fit, we're going to come over here to the bottom right corner and select copy. Now, when you click copy, what it does is it saves a copy of this video to your content library. It is your copy so that you are free to edit, change, and modify it however you would like. So once you copy them, how do you go find all those videos? Well, I'm just going to come back to the EdPuzzle homepage. I'll click this EdPuzzle icon in the top left. And in the My Content tab, that's where you can see all of the videos that you've copied. So right here, I've copied about 5 videos so far that I think I might be interested in. What's exciting is because you all are on a EdPuzzle Pro plan, you have unlimited storage here. So don't be shy about copying videos. If it seems even a little bit like a good fit, give it a copy so you can look at it later, find it later, and decide whether or not you actually want to use it. Now, I want to talk about a couple other ways to find videos. And the first I want to talk about is YouTube. So if you're using, or if you find a video on YouTube that you like, if you have a YouTube channel that you like a lot of their videos from, you can take that video from YouTube and import it directly to EdPuzzle in 2 seconds. All you do is copy the YouTube URL. So just copy the entire YouTube URL, paste it into that main EdPuzzle search bar, and click search. We're going to instantly connect that video and let you get to work starting to use it. So any YouTube video, you have access to it on EdPuzzle. And then the last one I'm going to mention right now is uploading your own video. If you have the time and the capacity, this is one of the best ways to connect with your students. It's my favorite personal way to use EdPuzzle, and it's simple to upload any video file directly onto EdPuzzle. So here we are again. I'm just in my content library. You can see all those copied videos. I'm going to come over here to this blue Add Content button. Then I'll just pick to upload a video. And as I said, you can grab any video file, whether it's on your computer or saved in your Google Drive, and it's going to upload directly to EdPuzzle so you can start using it. So that's a quick look at all of the different ways you can find content, whether it's searching, whether it's importing from YouTube, whether it's using those channels on the left-hand side, whatever you want. But now we're going to get to that work time and give you a chance to try this out. So we're going to spend about 5 minutes. And what I want you to do is explore those different channels, type in a few different searches and see what you can find, copy any videos that look like they might be a good fit for your class, something you're teaching later on next week, next month, and see how many videos you can find. I see a good question for foreign language teachers. We do have a variety of foreign language videos on EdPuzzle. What I've actually found more successful there is looking on YouTube, just because it can be easier to find those channels that present content in a different language or are focused on foreign language instruction. And then once you find that YouTube video, again, you could just copy the URL, paste it into the main EdPuzzle search bar, and that video is going to automatically sync. So that would be my tip if you're a foreign language teacher for finding good content. I see a question, if you upload your video, is it open for the public? You actually have an option there. So you can choose to keep it public or private. So let's say I have this video that I uploaded directly to EdPuzzle. In the bottom right corner, when I'm on the main video page, I can select that it's either private or public, and I can flip between those however I want. Not see any advertisements on videos on EdPuzzle. When students access EdPuzzle, we stream YouTube videos through a special server that allows us to remove any of the advertisements and any of the data and tracking and anything like that. And so students are safe, secure, and will not be served any ads when they watch EdPuzzle videos. Question about immersive readers or audio questions. We're actually working on an audio feature that will let you record audio questions and actually let your students respond with audio responses. It's in development right now, so it should be ready. I can't promise dates, but sometime in the near future. All righty. So my hope is that you have all been successful at finding one, maybe two, maybe more videos that look interesting, that can help your students master some of that content, help them come into class more prepared for higher level thinking. But now I want to show you the next and perhaps most unique part of EdPuzzle, and that's the ability for you to edit a video. So we know oftentimes you're going to find a video and it's going to be almost perfect, but maybe it's not quite right. It's not 100% fit for what your students need. So here's how you can edit that video to make it a perfect fit with EdPuzzle. So here I am. I am on the main EdPuzzle video page. And in the bottom right corner, I'm just going to select Edit. When I click that, I get taken to EdPuzzle's video editor. And you're going to automatically start off in this section you can see right up here at the top, titled Cut. This lets you cut out sections of the video if they're off topic or not related to what your students are learning. So say the video is long, you can click and drag either of the ends of this blue bar to remove sections at the beginning or end if you want to shorten your video. So just click and drag the ends of that blue bar. And we even let you cut out sections in the middle. So maybe you like the beginning, you like the end of the video, but in the middle it gets off topic or too advanced or too easy for your students. You can remove those sections as well. Just bring the video to where you want to start removing content. We're going to select this Add Cut button, which you can see has split the blue bar into two pieces. And now I can click and drag either one of those pieces to remove the section I don't want. So use the Add Cut button if you want to cut out a section in the middle of your video. And so this Cut tab, it's really all about customizing what content are your students seeing, making sure it's a perfect fit. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to move over from Cut. We're going to jump straight over to this tab right here, the Questions tab. This is really where I think you can make the biggest difference. This is where you stick in those questions and interactive features into the video. So all you're going to do is play through the video. And when you get to the point where you want to embed a question, pause the video and click the type of question you want to add. Multiple choice, open-ended, or a note. So let's embed at this point in the video a multiple choice question. And all we'll need to do is type out our question. Maybe at this point we'll ask students, what's the numerator of this fraction? And then we can put in our answer choices, select which ones are correct or incorrect, add as many answer choices as you want, and save that question directly into the video. Embedding an open-ended question the exact same way. You just type your question in and click Save. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is it's in the Questions tab. It's called a note, though. So I'll go back so you can see again. Instead of a multiple choice or open-ended, you might decide to add a note. And now, what's a note? Well, it's similar to a question in that the video is going to pause, but instead of your students having to respond, they're just going to read your note, or they can actually listen to it as an audio note. Now, this is where I get to one of my best practices. If you're jotting down notes, this is one of the notes I would take. But I recommend, if you're finding videos to use with your students, to start off every video with an audio note. So at the very first second in the video, start with an audio note where you say hi to your students, Tell them what they're about to watch and why, and what any expectations you have for them are. Now, I think this is so important because if we think about students sitting down, whether it's at home, whether it's in class independently, when they start a video and they hear their teacher's voice, it's going to give the video more of a sense of purpose. It's going to make the video feel more personal and relatable, and it's going to help them understand exactly what your expectations for them are. In the same way that we talk about how important clear expectations are through all classroom procedures, videos are the same way. And an audio note by just clicking this little microphone is a perfect way to start every video with a personal touch and some clear expectations for your students. And so those are the different types of things you can add into the video. You can add as many as you want. You see a bunch of questions along here. You can edit or delete existing questions that are in the video. And whenever your video is perfect, you can just come up to this top right corner and select finish. We're going to automatically save this and save all of the features. I'm going to give you a chance to try that in 1 second. I just stuck in this assigning a video section because it's really short. We're only going to spend about a minute here. Once your video is perfect, it's all edited, it's exactly as you want it, you just select assign. When you click assign, you'll see a list of all of those classes that you imported earlier. And if you haven't done that yet, it's okay. Don't worry about it. But you'll see that list of your classes. Select which class you want to assign the video to. Set a start date if you want to schedule it in advance, maybe. Set a due date if you have a specific date you want it due by. And then this last button right here is where I like to draw people's attention. I recommend you always turn this button on. That's going to post this automatically to your Google Classroom page. That's what you saw me click at the beginning when I showed what it would look like for a student. So turn this on. We're going to do the work of posting it to Google Classroom, so you don't have to worry about any copy and pasting links or anything like that. See a question about preventing skipping. We automatically set this as on. You can toggle on or off whether you want to prevent skipping. Personally, it's automatically on, and I like to keep it that way. I don't know why I would want students to skip, but if for any reason you did, you could always turn it off.
Alex?
Mm-hmm.
Linnell has a great question. She said she'd like to see what students see when they get to the end of the video. Some of her students continue to tell her that they're finished, but EdPuzzle shows that they've only watched 90% of the video.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I'm going to come back to this Google Classroom assignment, and this will actually hit on, I know someone wanted to see this student view again. So just one more time, I'm in Google Classroom. I'm clicking the assignment and clicking on that link. And as a student, I just sign in with my Google account. Now, we completed this assignment earlier, so I'm able to skip through it now, but I'll just showcase what it looks like. As students get to the end, the video is going to keep playing. And they really know they're done when they see this whole gray screen and the video stops. They also get this notification on the right-hand side that says, you're done. They can see the results. This has to be graded still because there's an open-ended question. If you're seeing that a lot of students are getting to 90%, my guess is that they're answering all of the questions, but after the last question, they're not finishing the last 20, 30 seconds of the video, and therefore it's not registering as fully complete. So if you're seeing a lot of students at 90%, make sure they finish all the way to this screen that says rewatch, not just through the last question. So that brings us to our next chunk. It's time for you to try. And I've actually built in a little bit of extra time into this session. So we're going to spend about 8 minutes or so here. Your goal is take one of the videos you found, practice cropping out parts of it. Make sure you know how. Try out adding some notes and questions into the video. Try recording an audio note, embedding a multiple choice question, embedding an open-ended question. Make sure you know how to do it. And yes, right now we don't have a way to customize what module or section on Google Classroom it goes under. We're working to make it as smooth as possible. There's certain limitations just based on the way that Google Classroom allows for integrations, but we're working to try and make it as smooth and successful as it can be. You have a question about changing a video without having to repost it, and I think there might have been, right now, once you assign a video, You can't add more questions or change the questions. And the reason why is it would make grading very confusing if half of the students had different questions than other half. So right now, if you want to change the questions, you have to delete that assignment, make your edits, and repost it. But if you want to change things like the start date or due date of the assignment, you can do that without having to delete your assignment. In the My Classes section, you'll just pick whichever assignment you created, and you can always change the start date or the due date. And then just click this button here, which says Update on Google Classroom, and it's going to re-update whatever changes you've made. So if you need to change some assignment settings, you can do that. But if you want to change the actual questions, you would have to delete that assignment so we can keep grading for all of your students consistent. Question about assigning to only select students in the class. There's not a direct way to do that through Google Classroom. I will show, I'll try and show in a couple of minutes or towards the end of the session a good workaround if you need to do that frequently, or if you're a teacher who wants to frequently assign different videos to different subsets of students. So if I haven't gotten to it by the end of today's session, keep sending me a message, remind me, and I'll make sure to show you towards the end. Make sure you all have a chance to create your account and sync your classes from Google Classroom. Question about placing it in an exact section. So what I would recommend is post it to Google Classroom. It's just going to appear in your generic stream and classwork. But the other way then is if you come in My Classes on EdPuzzle in My Classes, select the class and select the assignment you're working with. We have this button, Share Assignment. And that's going to give you this shareable link that if you wanted to then post in a specific folder, module, or section of your Google Classroom or wherever you're posting videos, you could paste this link there. You could post this on Seesaw. You could post this on Class Dojo or whatever system you're using. This link can be shared anywhere and will let students directly access that assignment. Question about removing questions from a video. Let me flip over and show how to do that, because you definitely can. Let's say I have this video that has some questions in it, but I want to get rid of them. I'm going to come down to Edit, move over to the Questions tab, pick the question I want to remove or edit. Say I don't like this one, I just want to get rid of it entirely. I'll select this trash icon. Or if I want to edit it, I'll select this pencil icon. So let's say I don't like this question, I'm just going to delete it. Now that question's gone. Yes, students can use an iPad or a phone to access EdPuzzle, because we have an app that can be downloaded for either iPhone or Android. So either iOS or Android, students can access through the EdPuzzle app. And the next thing we get to talk about is my favorite piece of this presentation. It's when I get to talk about data analytics and what you get from students after they complete an assignment. So let's go ahead and take a look. So here I am on EdPuzzle. And to find your grades on EdPuzzle, you're going to select My Classes here in the top right corner. You're going to pick which class you want to look at, and you're going to click the assignment you want to see. First thing you might want to do is grade open-ended responses if you have some open-ended responses that need grading. There'll be this big blue button if you have answers to grade. Go ahead, click on that, and you'll see responses organized by question. So you can quickly mark them as 0 with the X, 100% with a check, or any partial credit if you want to assign any amount of partial credit in between. Then once you finish grading all the open-ended responses, that button vanishes. And now you can see your list of students who watched the video and what their total scores are. Now, I love this because it gives you quick analytics to make fast decisions as a teacher. For example, we can see these 2 students here at the bottom. They watched the entire video and they scored pretty well. So they're probably ready to move on to the next topic, the next concept on their own, no intervention necessary. Then we've got these 3 students in the middle, though, who I see also watched the entire video, but they need a little bit of extra support. And so right there, EdPuzzle can give you that analytics, tip you off. There's the 3 students you're going to pull in a small group tomorrow. Because if you give those 3 students a little bit of an extra push, you can get them to reaching mastery and understanding that content. Last thing up here at the top, we see this student has not watched or not started the video yet. And so we know we need to have an accountability check, see why they were unable to complete the work, what we could do to help them get back on track. Now, beyond this basic overview, we can see a lot of student specifics. So let's click on this student's name. And we can see things like, how long did they spend on this video assignment? So if you're a teacher and you're setting an expectation that students take notes while they're watching the video, and you see they're completing videos in what seems like too fast of a time, hey, that can tip you off and help you hold them accountable. You can also see how many times did they have to rewatch each section of the video. So where were those sections they were getting confused, having to hear things over and over before they could move on. And then if you scroll down on any student's results, you see their individual responses to each and every question. We like to say that this gives you as a teacher superpowers because it shows you exactly what students do and do not yet understand and where any of those misconceptions might be. If you remember student number 1, they were one of those students we were pulling into a small group the next day. And because I have these results, I see what they get and what they don't. I know how to focus my small group time. I don't just have to blindly reteach the entire lesson. I can be strategic, see where they're confused, push in and give them that bit of extra support to reach mastery and understanding. So that's a look at the grades and student details. I'm also going to showcase, we were just in the students tab, but if you move over to the questions tab, you can see results organized question 1, question 2, question 3, how many students got them right. And that's helpful if you want to see where's the whole class confused, where do I need to do a whole class reteach, or where do we need to spend some more time. I also really like it as a way to plan out class discussions. So here I started this video with an open-ended question, and I can see all of my student responses right here. This is really unique because if you think about calling on students in class, you might be able to call on the 1 or 2 students who raise their hand, or you might do a turn-in talk or a partner pair share where every student's talking, but you don't, as the teacher, get to hear what every single one of them is saying. But with EdPuzzle, you do. You really get to see every student's response to every question. We can see it right here. And you also get to see them ahead of time. So you can look at it, you can think about it, and plan out how are you going to leverage what they already know to further develop their understanding. Maybe we're going to partner together some students because they're going to do a good job building off each other's ideas. Or maybe we're going to put 2 students together or call on students to get them critiquing each other's reasoning, debating different ideas, understanding that there's different ways to approach content and understanding. So using these open-ended responses is a perfect way to plan out and structure what that warm-up, what that discussion, what that activity is going to look like when you're all together in your synchronous or your class time. So that is a look at all of the different ways you can use analytics. I know that's a lot of information. I know there's all sorts of different ways you can use that. And that really is going to bring us to the end of this section on EdPuzzle 101 and how to use EdPuzzle. The last thing I'll mention, if the only thing you are curious about is the student grades, don't worry, these grades are going to automatically import into Google Classroom. So if all you care about is the score, don't worry about it. These scores are going to automatically sync with Google Classroom. You don't have to worry about typing them in or doing anything on your part. So that's the last little thing I'll touch on. So I want to start off with this slide, which even if you've never seen this exact slide, I imagine looks somewhat familiar as you look at it, because this is probably what many of you are doing most days in class. We think a great lesson starts with students getting introduced to the content they're learning or whatever skill they're working on for that day. Once students have been introduced, they get a chance to practice on their own. And you as the teacher have time to circulate the room and give feedback, to pull small groups, to lead students in discussions, to push them towards higher order thinking. Now, how does EdPuzzle fit into this lesson structure? Well, the basic idea is put EdPuzzle right here in the first part. Use an EdPuzzle video lesson to introduce your students to content. Now, if you want to get creative, you could also use it to help practice with all the questions at the end or something like that. But the main idea is if you use a video to help introduce students to content, it lets you as the teacher have more teacher time and more time to do what is most valuable. It's pulling those small groups, it's giving individualized feedback, it's responding and reacting and supporting students on their individual needs. There are certain things that no one but you as the teacher can do and no amount of technology can replicate. We at EdPuzzle do not want to replace you as the teacher. We want to give you superpowers by having you need to spend less time talking at and presenting to your students and freeing you up to have more time to work with and to support your students. So I think if you want to know how EdPuzzle fits in, that's really the goal. Let you spend less time talking at your students and more time working with them. Now, we think this is actually a relevant solution regardless of what our scenario is through the remainder of this year. Obviously, video lessons are an amazing resource when we are teaching remotely to help students learn the content, master the skills. If we get back to a hybrid state of learning where half of our students are with us and the other half are learning from home, it's an amazing fit. The students at home can watch a video lesson, master that content, and so the days they are in class with you, you can focus the entire time on projects, collaboration, discussion, higher order thinking, application. Make use of your time. And lastly, as I said, when I was a teacher myself, I used EdPuzzle every single day in my math class during fully in-person teaching. I did it so that I could spend more time helping students when they got confused, pulling small groups to differentiate for those students who needed some remediation or were ready for some expansion and more advanced learning. I really found it a priceless or a infinitely useful resource, even when I was fully in person. And so I truly believe it can work like that for you too. I want to show a couple different structures of how this could look. So here's the first approach. Students come into class, they're these green dots. They're at their desk and they can watch an assignment independently and then complete some independent work on their own. Why do we do that? Well, that means you as a teacher are free. Maybe you're going to pull a small group to differentiate, or maybe you're going to move around the classroom, see any students who raise their hand, give them that in the moment correction or that in the moment support when they start getting confused to get them back on track. So that's one approach. It's personally my favorite approach. Next one, classic, you can use a station rotation. So at one station, students are watching a video that you assign them. At another station, they're working with classmates, they're doing some independent work. And you as a teacher are freed to work with small groups, have students discuss, use academic language, push them towards higher order thinking. This is an amazing strategy, station rotations, so that you can work with small groups of students and they can complete the video and work on their own. Last one we'll talk about, and there was some questions about this, is a feature called EdPuzzle Live Mode. Now what live mode is you actually project the EdPuzzle video on your whiteboard, or you share your screen and all of the students watch together at the same time, but they have their own devices where they can respond to the questions on their own. This is the perfect way to use EdPuzzle live, in person, or synchronously on a video call, whatever structure you have, but it allows all of you to watch together. You get to see student responses in live time, and you can use their responses maybe to spark a discussion. You could pull up a couple open-ended responses, get students debating which idea they agree or disagree with, get them building off each other's ideas. So sure, EdPuzzle is the perfect solution for self-paced work or asynchronous time, but live mode, and the easiest way I describe it, if you've ever used Kahoot, it's, oh, I see a comment just coming in. It's exactly like Kahoot, but instead of just questions, it's questions and video. So it's kind of, in my opinion, it's a win-win. So I'd encourage you to check that out, and we can provide more resources there. But live mode, an amazing way to have videos be the jumping off point for class that you're all going through and watching together. All right. just focusing here, I know many teachers can find amazing resources on YouTube, but if you are, maybe you're a foreign language teacher, or you can't find a video that explains something the way you like to explain it in class, or there's just nothing that seems like a perfect fit, or maybe you just want students hearing your voice and your approach to a lesson, I encourage you to explore creating your own videos. Please know there are many tools nowadays to make this simple. So I'm just going to flip over. Here's how easy it is. This is a series of slides, and I made these slides for a lesson on an introduction to matter, but I made these slides to present in class. I want to clarify that. I didn't make some special slides for a video. I didn't have to reinvent all of my lessons. I really just took slides that I was going to present live, but instead, I'm just going to record it as a video so that students can watch ahead of time. I can get that data, and I can use my synchronous time in a more valuable way. So I also have Screencastify downloaded. If you haven't checked it out, you have a subscription. It is an amazing resource that lets you, just like that, record your screen to make a video lesson. So I'll just record this browser tab. We just click record, and we get started. It can be as simple. It's just like teaching a lesson. You might say to yourself, good morning, class. Today we're going to be learning about an introduction to what matter is. Now I want you to think back to what we talked about in class yesterday. Reflect, what do you already know about this word matter? I want you to think about that right now. All right, well, today we're learning the definition of matter is anything that has weight and takes up space. So let's think of some examples. Paper has weight and it takes up space. If you've ever had a box of paper, it's filled with paper and that's heavy. And you could go through rest of the definition. Here we have a question. I want you to think to yourself, is milk matter? Why do you think so? Let's think about another one. Do you think a person is matter? Why or why not? And we'd go through the remainder of our examples, finish up our lesson, and I'm going to stop recording. So obviously I skipped a bunch of pieces there, but a couple things I do want you to notice. First, I treat it just like a normal lesson. I'm not creating something special just because it's a video. I'm creating a lesson and I'm just recording as a video ahead of time. That's why you heard me actually ask students questions. In the same way you ask questions when you're teaching a lesson, you should ask students questions when you create a video for them, because you're going to be able to stick that exact question in at the exact moment you ask it using EdPuzzle. So ask the questions. Let students be involved. Don't make it lecture with questions added after the fact. Build the questions in as part of your lesson structure, just like you do each and every day. Now, if you're using Screencastify, there is a nifty feature you can see, I have it right here, that lets you upload directly to EdPuzzle. If you don't see this on yours, all you're going to do is come down to more options, and you have to click this add more share options to turn on this EdPuzzle feature. But this is why I like Screencastify, is that it gives this button to upload directly to EdPuzzle. One click. Oh, well, I'm logged into a student account right now, which is why it's not working. If you're logged into your teacher account, though, one click and it uploads directly in. So that's the approach to screen recording videos. Pretty simple. And if you have that Screencastify extension, yep, just visit screencastify.com to get it set up. It really is a super simple way to make clear, effective lessons using the slides you already have created for class. So that's one approach to creating your own lessons. But sometimes screen recording is not the perfect solution. And it might not be the perfect solution for you if you are a math teacher who has to write a lot of numbers and symbols and things on a screen. Maybe if you're a chemistry teacher where you have to write out formulas and show how different things combine and there's just a lot of handwriting involved, it can be hard to write on a screen. So I'm just going to show you my best practice. It's using something called a document camera. Oh, and this is actually, yeah, great for art teachers as well. So document camera, I just have this little document camera. My school gave it to me, but you can use if you have a document camera in your classroom, or you can order one, yeah, an Elmo or any type of document camera on your own. They all work. Basically, it just lets you record what's on your desk. So I'm going to show you a quick 1-minute snippet of how I use a document camera. And this is actually the document camera I used to build 300 videos in my math classroom for my 5th grade students. And here's what it looks like. So I recorded this ahead of time because I didn't want to have to present live. But you've got your piece of paper. You just print out, whether it's a worksheet, whether it's a problem set, whatever you want from your school's curriculum. And you're able to just guide students through this entire process yourself. So here, we'll just take a moment and get started. Let me fast forward a bit. Here we go. So you basically just go through this lesson exactly as if you were teaching or walking your students through. So today, we're going to add 1/2 plus 1/3. And remember, this is hard because these fractions, they have different denominators. We see a 2 and the 3, the denominators are different. So the first thing we have to do, remember, is find the lowest common denominator of these two fractions. In your own words, describe how I do this. Well, remember, I'll find the lowest common denominator by skip counting by my denominators. So we'll start with 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We could keep going as far as we want, and we'll just skip count by our other one, 3. So we've got 3, 6, 9, 12. Let's add one more. Let's do 15. All right. Now I want you to look at these. What's my lowest common denominator? Well, notice the first number that appears in both lists is this 6. The first number that we see in both lists, that's our lowest common denominator. And so here, our lowest common denominator is 6. Now, I'm not going to go through the rest of this lesson for you, but that's the basic idea. It's as simple as just writing with a pencil, a marker, whatever you want, exactly like you do in class. And you record it as a video. So you have a permanent guide that students can watch anytime, anywhere, so that they're never stuck, they're never confused. But we're going to get into this open Q&A section. So we've got a little bit of time left. I encourage you to think, what questions do you have? Or what do you want to learn more about? We've got a little bit of time left, and we're going to try and get to as many as we can. But first, Antonio, we were talking about open classrooms, or how, if you use Seesaw, an effective way to get students onto EdPuzzle. So I'm just going to show that right now. But what is an open class? So an open class is for those of you who teach K2, K3 maybe. You have students who remembering a username, remembering a password is a really big hurdle for them completing assignments. If that's the fact, I recommend you look at open classrooms. Creating an open class is exactly like any other one. In my classes, we just add a new class, create a new class, and we'll give it a name. Let's call it 2nd grade English. We can put in a description if we want, and all you do is select open. What that means is when students click on an assignment, they don't have a username or password, they just type their name. So no usernames and passwords, they'll just have to type their name. And as I said, it's really aimed if you're teaching those kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, or whenever, or if you just need a quick, easy way for students to get into a class, use these open classrooms. It's going to let them log in without having to remember a username and password every time. So I know that was a really quick overview. I'll do my best to actually post in a link to some video supports on that as we keep going. But now I do want to make sure I get a couple questions in from all of you. Good question. So how do you use live mode? Verita asks. So let me show that really quickly. So live mode was like that Kahoot where you project the video or you share your screen and everyone watches together. If you want to do live mode, just come to EdPuzzle, come to your class, and whatever assignment you want to use. And in the bottom right corner, there's this option, go live. So if you want to do live mode, I'll show that one more time. In my classes, come to the class, come to the assignment, and click go live. Now this basically acts just like a landing page. As soon as students click on their EdPuzzle link, they'll be automatically sucked into this assignment. So you'll all be able to watch together. You'll be able to see all of those responses, etc. See a question, can they log in with their Google Classroom accounts? Yes. Please remember, EdPuzzle, we want to make it simple. I know nothing is more frustrating than dealing with tech support the first time you try to use a new tool in your class. So we really try and go above and beyond to make sure students have a simple time. They just log in with their exact same Google account they use for Google Classroom. No extra usernames, no extra passwords, no nothing. We believe in keeping it simple so you can focus on teaching, not on tech support. To get a document camera, I'd recommend either checking with your school, because they might have one, or Ashley, they're available on Amazon. There's a whole range, or another website. There's a whole range of different tiers, and you can find one. As long as it records a video, it'll work just fine. You don't need anything else just besides any document camera that can record a video. To get students, if they're on Zoom and you want to get them to EdPuzzle, yeah, have them head to their Google Classroom page and just click the link. Or you could always click that, where do we have it? Or you can just have them click that. You could just click that share assignment link and copy this link directly into your Zoom chat. Students can click there. So lots of different options. I'm going to turn it back over to Kim so she can close out in these last couple of minutes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alex and Antonio. That was great. But thank you so much. This was a very comprehensive and exciting training.